Alright, so I got the master time at Amascut with some of my pals earlier, and I'm quite happy with that so far, but boy oh boy, there's going to be so much work to do and some major improvements to make on my end if I want to have any hope of reclaiming Grandmaster. But for today, I figured I would upload this kill and just very lightly commentate on what I'm doing as the base tank. Hopefully that will be helpful and interesting to others, and it might also highlight some areas that I need to improve on as well. I really have no clue how to tackle making a guide for this, like I have with my other combat achievements, just because there's 5 different roles with 5 pretty substantially different POVs and responsibilities that I'm quite frankly not well versed in enough to speak on. So in this video, I'll largely ignore commentating on anything that my teammates are doing and mostly just focus on what I'm doing. So, at the start, I'm releasing my stalled meteor strike with a hammer and an exakill spec, and then I'm using a greater ricochet to get back up to my sunshine. When I get into my sunshine, first thing I want to do is get into Vasoa, and I'll even use Limitless Sigil if I have to, so that I can get Asphyxiate off as my very first threshold. From there, I just kind of improvise in my sunshine to the best of my ability, so just taking advantage of that newly buffed Tumikin's effect with that Asphyxiate, and trying to get off big critical strikes with things like my Omni Power, Wild Magic, Tendrils, and maybe even an Ivan sometimes, although I don't think I did one in this kill. At the end of phase 1, I want to make sure that I end 100% adrenaline so that I can use Berserk right away, and then barge and try and bleed a flurry on the gorilla. If I can't get that flurry off on the gorilla, then I want to make sure I at least get it off on the witch when I go inside. By going inside quickly like this, we're actually able to outright skip the Atmican's Burden. So if everyone ends up being on the inside early enough, the Atmican's Burden won't even spawn, and that's a major convenience for everyone involved. So I'll do a couple of abilities on the Witch on the inside, then I'll head out and try and finish off the rest of my Berserk timer by killing the crocodiles as quickly as I can. This part is definitely the most difficult of the whole fight for me personally. The crocodiles hit so much, I'm already low HP after having based on P1. It can definitely be pretty sketchy. But after killing the crocodiles with my Berserk and clicking the statue, I'll then focus on killing the next set of crocodiles that spawn and then getting a natural instinct off. During that natural instinct, I'll try and get a critical strike buff by either using Tsunami or Incendiary Shot, and then while Amascut is in this staggered state, I'll just try to do the best Berserk that I can, reapplying that Statius Warhammer during that, as that will help the rest of the team. Now in the initial part of the Berserk, we're wanting to kind of wait to use the exakill spec for the second time, trying to wait until after Amascut hits 5.4 million HP, then ending the Berserk with that exakill spec and refreshing critical strike buff with a meteor. That should in theory make getting the Scarab skip and the bend the knee skip in this phase a little bit easier that way. Now when this phase does start, I'm going to go right away into a Vasoa spec, and try and build up for a metamorphosis. Then with that metamorphosis, I'll take the same approach that I did with my sunshine in phase 1, just trying to get off an earliest fix and juice as many powerful abilities as I can, things like Wild Magic, Omni Power, Wand Spec, you name it. Now in this case we did get the Scarab skip and the bend the knee skip, so that was good, entering P4 at a pretty reasonable time here, and then P4 is going to be mostly normal. We're just going to kill the gorilla, I'm going to help get some Scarabs for my pals on the east here, and I'll even help get some Scarabs for my pals on the west. There's probably a good strategy that I don't think we did in this kill, where everyone on the east and west, so the 4 players, will get their own Scarab. That way you have 2 Scarabs already on the inside, and then me as the base tank with my chain Caroming, I would be able to easily kill 4 more Scarabs and throw 2 more to each side, giving everyone 4 Scarabs, which is ultimately the amount you need. So, like I said, the rest of this phase is mostly normal. I'll just focus on clicking statues. Unfortunately, I clicked too fast here. I PK'd my teammates a little bit. But I'll click statues, I'll focus on killing dogs to the best of my ability while I'm doing that, and once the statues are clicked, I'll do the same thing that I did in that phase 2 stagger, where I'll come get a natural instinct, try and refresh a crit buff with my Tsunami or Incendiary if I needed to, and then build back up to a Berserk, and again, reapply Hammer during that, and then just try to do the best damage that I possibly can. So here it's less precious to save that exakill for the latter part of the Berserk. Instead I just do it right away, and then try and spam as many claws as I can, really just trying to get it down to 2.25 million HP ASAP, and enter phase 5, our target was anywhere under 4 minutes 20 seconds. So here we entered at like 4:15, which was pretty good. Meant that we should be on pace for the master time in this kill.
Okay, that's good. Get ready to cade.
And then again, phase 5 is going to be another mostly normal phase. It's just going to be the 150% one cycle method. So we charge this first battery about halfway while I'm doing the south dogs, and then we switch sides over to the eastern pillar. Once the solo chargers completely finish their solo charges, they'll take over the battery that we only have charged. And in the meantime, I'll just do my best to aggro dogs, tag them, and kill all of them while making absolutely certain that I'm not stepping out of the light and losing time with the charge. I've made that mistake several times, and that's a really easy moment of the fight to lose some unnecessary time. So the Tumikin's light special actually ends up being a pretty good weapon for aggroing some of the dogs. With some of those lasers that fly off of the other dogs, they'll often reach to the dogs who are just coming out of the stairs, so Tumikin's light spec really big for this phase in particular. Whenever we're in the name calling section, I'll just use my Berserk. I'll try and use it early while I'm killing the dogs, kind of right before we're clicking on Tumikin. That way the cooldown will ideally be back for the start of phase 6. But phase 5, while Amaskut's diving around, just do the normal things that you would in your Berserk. Big execute spec, big claw specs, and then try and end with high adrenaline. Although at the end here, it looks like I did the delayed incendiary shot where you do it right at the end of the phase, and the incendiary buff will apply immediately at the start of phase 6. Not super important, not super relevant to the speed kill. I would have been fine with meteor, but since I knew I had a meteor cooldown here, I figured that would be the better approach. Then mostly normal with the green core here, just Zerk, do a little bit of damage. I'm going to apply some debuffs to Amascut while we're doing the climb. So I do a hammer and a quake there, and then we just build back up to the sunshine to quickly kill clones. There is a cool strat with Dragon 2H, stalling a Dragon 2H and releasing with the Dragon 2H. I like to call that the Dragon 4H, but we mostly do just the casual sunshine approach here. And then to quickly kill clones, I'm doing things like a magma, charge a full detonate, release the detonate with tsunami, Fasoa, chain, and it should be dead by then, but then focusing our attention on the Amascut afterwards. And again, it's mostly normal here. Really the most important parts of this speed kill, in my opinion, at least with my role that I was doing, is having a good phase 1, phase 2. Those are for sure the most difficult parts of the fight for me, and I think the areas that I can make the most impact as the base. From there on out, the majority of the kill is the same as being a DPSer. Here we had a kind of funny moment in voice chat, so I'll just let that play out, and then phase 7 ends as you think it would, with just a big fat execute spec from all 5 players.
I think this is it.
Shh.
Don't say it.
Thanks.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Let's go. Good job.
We're like, Chikorita, shut the fuck up.
Oh man,
Bro, no one wanted to say anything, bro.
Oh my
Just
god.
free.
that was nice,
I was gonna say
Oh.
Scabrous incoming.
dude. I would have cried, man.
It was
Oh,
free
hey,
with Scabrous too. You guys got it.
And there you have it. That was my Master Speed Killer Amascut. Wasn't really a guide, but hopefully it was interesting and informative. There is going to be so much work and improvement that I really want to make to re-earn Grandmaster. I don't think that I'm quite there yet, but this was a very good first step. Shout out to my teammates in this kill, A Accident, Ark, Mitchell, and Satyr, and everyone who's helped along the way with kills and also tips in general. That list is too lengthy to name today, but I hope you know who you are and that it's bigly appreciated. Anyways, thanks for watching today, and see you soon.